Hey everybody, welcome back to the Photog experience. If you don't know me already, my name is Jonathan Bailey, and on this channel, I want to give you tips and tricks on how to improve your travel photography. Hey everybody, welcome back. And on today's experience, it is episode 2 of the exposure, and I'm super excited. What the exposure is, it's a sort of like a mini photo contest between creators. Now, just because I call you a creator doesn't mean you have to be some big YouTube star. This is for the average person that just loves to take photos while they're traveling. Now, these don't necessarily have to be images from traveling. It can be what you take at home or anything like that. This is just a way for us to gather together to show each other the different images that we take and to show our stories. And I'm super excited. So let's dive in. Now this first round of images is from Kevin Simmons. And again, just to let you all know, I'll be looking at these photos on my phone. So if I look down, please forgive me. So this very first photo that Kevin submitted is of the Holocaust Memorial right out front of the entrance in Washington, D.C. One really cool thing is the negative space in this image. If you look at the negative space in the middle, and you look at the negative space to the top left of the image, they look almost identical. I think that's super cool to have them together like that. And you can see that the sun is right behind kind of like the pillar to the left hand. So it's creating amazing shadows, it's creating awesome contrast, and the sky is perfectly blue, and I love how the light is hitting on the windows. Like it's just super cool. One thing I would love to see with this particular image is a little more contrast. Granted, I know the highlight on the window would have been kind of blown out, but a little, like some of the shadows just a little darker, and some of the highlights a little brighter. But overall, I think this is a great shot. Thanks for the first shot, Kevin. This next shot is at the Coral Suites at Tanio Beach. Sorry if I completely butchered that. I'm horrible at this. But this is in Freeport in Grand Bahamas. It's super cool. You can tell it's probably a little overcast day because the sky is completely blown out, or the sun was just right there behind. Actually, yeah, it looks like the sun is right there behind the buildings. But it's just beautiful. Like the pinkish corally color of that building is beautiful, and I loved how palm trees were in there. A few things that I don't like. I don't like that the sky is fully exposed like that, or you can't really get much detail like the sky. But sometimes you can't help that. And I'm not a huge fan of the banister that's in the bottom left-hand corner. I think if you would have cropped it in just a little bit, I think it would have been a lot more powerful of a photo. Overall, it's really good, and I really enjoy that. Thank you. Now on to the third image from Kevin. This is the Port Lucaya, again, sorry if I butchered that, lighthouse. And this is also in Freeport, Grand Bahamas. And just to let you all know, all three of these images were shot on a Canon Rebel T3, which is a great little camera if you're all looking into getting anything. But if you wanted to know what I use the Canon T5i, and if you're interested in that, I have a link down below, and go check that out. Now, if you know me, you know that I love lighthouses. I love what they stand for, I love the way they look, I love the grandeur of them, and this thing is no exception. This is a beautiful shot. You get the colors. The color of the sky is just beautiful. Granted, there's no clouds, which is a little weird, but it's still beautiful. Well, I guess there's little clouds, but it's still beautiful. The color of the water basically completely complements the color of the sky, and you just have this grand, beautiful lighthouse just kind of chilling in the middle. One thing I would have liked to have seen is the lighthouse to be either completely in the center or more off to the side. But the color in this is beautiful. The colors in the flags, in the water, in the trees. It's beautiful. Great shot, Kevin. Thank you. The next shot on the list is no other than Amanda Shows, our winner of episode 1. So thank you again for entering, Amanda. I always enjoy waiting for your photos to see what they look like because you do some amazing work. So I appreciate you doing this again. The one and only image she submitted is the St. Louis City Hall. And what's really cool is she actually took this photo 2 years ago on her iPhone 7 Plus. So one thing cool about the exposure is it doesn't matter your equipment. You don't have to have thousands of dollars worth of equipment. You don't have to have the latest and greatest. You can honestly use your cell phone, because cell phones take amazing images. Most of my travel photography, that is my vlogging, that is photos, everything, are actually taken from my iPhone. So you don't need the latest and greatest. You don't need thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Just use what you have already. The one thing cool about this image is you can tell that it was taken at night. You can tell by the sky. You can tell by, I would say that's probably the moon on the upper right hand corner. And you can tell that there's lights kind of flooding the side of the building to give it a specific color. And it is just super, super, super cool. One thing that is a little iffy with iPhone photography is the low light capabilities. This did super well because the floodlight over the side of the building, it did super, super well. You can see in the sky and or on the edges that it gets a little pixelated and a little fuzzy, a little noisy. That's just an iPhone, that just happens. But with the floodlight on the side of the building, you're really able to get a great exposure. And this is a super, super awesome photo. One thing I guess I do like but don't kind of like, is the metal, looks like a cell phone tower kind of in the background. I kind of like the contrast between that and the super, super old building, the city hall, but yet I don't. I think you could have moved just a little bit, I guess, to the right to get more of the side of the building instead of getting that metal pole in the background. But I wasn't there. I don't know what the situation is. There could have been trash cans or something over there. But still, super, super awesome shot. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you for sending that in. Now, the next couple shots are actually from Chris Harrelson. You all have seen lately that he actually just created his own YouTube channel. And he is super excited about this. And he wants to share his life with you. He wants to share his experiences to help people lose weight, to gather a community, and to just spread love to anyone who watches him. And if you all haven't checked him out, I would highly recommend going and checking out his channel. Go ahead and give him a like and a subscribe, and I'll go ahead and put his link down in the subscription. So this very first image was taken on his iPhone 6s. This is an old house in Keller, Texas, and it's just super, super cool. It's a little off balance. It's a little like this, but that's okay. I mean, that's typically an easy fix, but that's perfectly fine. It happens to the best of us. And it's just super, super cool. I think I would love to live in a house like this. I don't know what I would do with all of that space, but it's super, super cool and beautiful home. One thing, you can definitely tell it's taken kind of later in the day, so the sun really isn't out. It's still daylight, but the sun is kind of either behind clouds or start to go down, start to set. But overall, it's a really good image, and I thank you for that. Next picture is a local winery for Chris, and this is in Grapevine, Texas. And this was also taken on his 6S. And I'm not a huge fan of the cropping of this image. I think there's way too much space on the right side of the building. You see the light posts and things like that. Typically, light posts are a no-no unless you're specifically shooting the light posts and the electricity posts and things like that. And you can see a little bit of the car kind of in the lower left-hand corner. But overall, I think the beautiful contrast of the building and this, because the building is kind of like that orangish, reddish color. So it gives a great contrast to the sky. And also, another great photo. Thank you, Chris. This is also taken in Grapevine, Texas. And what's really cool about this image is it looks like he took the tips and tricks that I gave him from the last exposure video from his photos and kind of put them to practice. The tree is beautifully contrasting the building, and it's not fighting each other for a balance. It's just you see the tree and it's beautifully outlining the building, and it's awesome. The exposure is super, super good. This was also taken on his iPhone 6s, and it's awesome. One thing I would have done is cropped it in a little more. I wouldn't have all of that space, I would say, on the left-hand side. I would kind of crop it in to where that tower is kind of right at the left-hand side, and the tree is just kind of protruding. And yeah, that's a super cool image. Next is a local farmer's market. These are always super cool. One thing I would have liked to have seen is you actually go into the farmer's market or taking photos of people coming out of the farmer's market to really give you the idea that it's a farmer's market. Yes, it does say farmer's market as the title on the banners and things like that, but it would have been really cool to see someone like walking out with produce or whatever they were buying that particular day. This next one is a train station. I actually used to live in Houston, Texas. I lived there for about 2 years right after college. It's super, 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 super hot. I don't think I would ever want to go back there, but this is a super cool image. One thing I've noticed with all of these photos so far is there's really no clouds in the sky. So I don't know if these were all taken on the same day, if Chris went out to specifically shoot for this exposure episode or what, but there's literally like no clouds in the sky. But overall, it's greatly exposed. I think it would have been really cool to get closer to the train or get closer to the tracks or something like that to kind of give you some leading lines to lead your eye to a specific point of the building, not just take a broad face of the building. But overall, it's a really good shot. Next is a Catholic church building called St. John the Apostle, located in North Richlands Hills. This is also taken with his iPhone 6S. This is a great shot. Like, it's beautifully exposed. There's some clouds in the sky. Colors look amazing. One thing I see is the building is not directly in the center, or it's not perfectly off to the side, but I think that's what he was going for. So I would say just kind of crop it in just a little bit to where the church and the steeple and whatnot directly in the center of the image. But overall, this is a great shot. Like, the exposure is perfect. The highlights are not blown out. The coloring of the sky, the coloring of the grass, the coloring of the trees, it all looks really good. And this last one from Chris was also taken on his iPhone 6S. And this is a condominium building located in South Lake, Texas. And overall, again, I would go ahead and crop in the image like before, like I've said in your other images. But overall, it's a really cool shot. Now, you can tell this is later in the day, so there's not a lot of sunlight, so the exposure is a little wonky. But overall, like, it's really cool. I love how you added the road, and I love how you were able to get the trees to kind of go with the buildings too. I think that was really cool. It was a very nice touch. Thank you all for submitting your images. If you'd like to be a part of the next episode of The Exposure, go ahead and go over to our Facebook page and go ahead and give it a like so you can be a part of the entire process. I like to make polls so you all can vote on which theme you want. Like this week, this theme was buildings. And we go from there. And I'm super excited about this because I love all the different stories that you all bring and that you all show through your photography. And it's a blessing to be able to do something like this. So I thank you all. But without further ado, the winner of episode 2 of The Exposure is Kevin Simmons. Now, this particular image is just a great shot. I love the negative space. I love the color. I love where the sun is right behind the pillar. And it is just a great shot. The only thing I would have changed, like I said earlier, is just a little more contrast. But other than that, it was a fantastic image. So thank you, Kevin, for submitting. And you are the winner of the second episode of The Exposure. The only social media right now that Kevin has is he has a YouTube channel called Travels with B. So I definitely highly recommend you all go check his videos out and go ahead and give him a like, subscribe. And I thank you all for another amazing episode. Can't wait for the next one.